isn't going to be anything really new. This is something that I've already discussed with y'all, I think at this point probably multiple times. So K through 5. So of course we all are familiar with these slides. Oh, those are my slides. Alright, so the simple viewing of reading. So again, we're going through these. This is going over the there's the same little the Scarborough's reading rope. So having to decode and language comprehension to having reading. That's what this is going through. And of course, this is what our new standards are moving towards. Again, this is something that I had mentioned previously. This is how they're wanting us to go toward, and this is part of the reason for the move for foundations. Here's the Scarborough's, right? And then everywhere where that we see these stars, the reason for these domains and these big ideas, which are in green, the reason for those is going to be for House Bill 538 is what they're covering. So of course, House Bill 538, that is what we're covered under the law of making sure that we're getting our stuff done. So that's going to be the fluency, phonics, phonological awareness, and the alphabet knowledge. All right, so progression. All right, let me see. So here we go. This is going to be new. Anything that we see circled here, these are the things that are going to be new to us coming into next year. So notice how we've talked about this before, where things are the progressions of the different skills. In reality, I've looked at looking at our current standards. We already typically do this where things are progressing a little bit like this. But the newest thing now is we have the big ideas again, and then things fall under those little skills, and then we have our new standards and expectations fall under those. So what changed and why? So now what's changing is things are falling into these different little subcategories, such as focus, precision, clarity, and comprehension. So the order of domain shift, phonological awareness. Standards move to be first big idea. Verbiage, letter sounds, phoneme is going to be now called graphemes. Spelling is moving into be called encoding. And then additions will be big idea, standards, and expectations, and then organization, grouping, and clarity of expectations. So if you would like, we can pause for you to be able to scan the barcode. If you would like to go to this, to be able to grab the this at-a-glance form. I could not get the link to where, I can, if you would like, I can be able to go to this website real quick for us to go to the video.
It's going slow.
Is it going slow? Here, I can see if I can get it to pull up.
I hate it. I like it. Here's my phone numbers on my black countertops. I can't.
Whenever I showed you those videos before, this is where I got them from, was the GPB website.
I see the people that we were all kind of laughing at.
Lady in floral dress.
Yeah, pictures on this.
GPB.
thank you for joining us. The Foundations domain presents 5 big ideas. In this domain for grades K-5, students build a foundation for achieving dynamic literacy practices to aid reading comprehension. The first big idea, phonological awareness, applies to the K2 grade band. It includes concepts such as compound words, syllables, and phonemic awareness. Concepts of print, the next big idea, also only applies to the K2 grade band and covers concepts such as book orientation, the mechanics of print texts, and alphabet knowledge. The third big idea in the Foundations domain is phonics. Students learn the relationships between the sounds of spoken language and the letters of written language as they decode and encode words in context and in isolation. In grades 3-5, students will use their knowledge of phonics to decode and encode grade-level words. Fluency, the fourth big idea, students will develop oral and silent reading fluency to read grade-level text for understanding, self-correcting as necessary to ensure accuracy and aid comprehension. Finally, the fifth big idea addresses handwriting. In K2, this includes motor skills, word formation, transcription, and handwriting fluency. In grades 3-5, students will read and write cursive. In the upcoming panel, classroom teachers from across Georgia join to discuss key aspects of the Foundations domain, thinking deeply about the big ideas. The panelists also share their experiences as co-writers of the Foundations domain and speak directly to classroom teachers about what they believe these big ideas, standards, and expectations mean for teaching and learning in Georgia. Let's take a look.
The description for the Foundations domain says that students will build a foundation for achieving dynamic literacy practices to aid reading comprehension. What kinds of dynamic practices do the Foundations expectations build? And how do you anticipate these practices supporting students' future learning?
Okay, so let's answer. So do we have any, do we want to think about her question?
Sorry, I was distracted.
What was the question?
Yeah, what's in her
That was
opinion?
a long question.
That was a long
Sorry.
question.
To remember.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't remember her question either. So let's think about Nancy's question, Roger's question. I couldn't. Let's see. So she just read the description of Foundations domain, which pretty much is going over like the way kids learn how to read and write.
Description for the Foundations domain says that students will build a foundation for achieving dynamic literacy practices to aid reading comprehension. What kinds of dynamic practices do the Foundations expectations build? And how do you anticipate these practices supporting students' future learning?
Okay, so she's just asking like, how do they build? And I'll just go back to where it shows. Let me turn captions off, that way you can see. So her question is just asking, how do they build upon, how do the foundations, the domain foundations build upon each other to help kids learn how to read?
I think they do a better job of, especially down in the phonics, of putting reading and writing together, like decoding and encoding are hand in hand than they did in the past.
Exactly, yes. And also, it allows for students to be able to, it allows them to be able to read and write together. And also, it allows them time to be able to understand, like, letter sounds and then be able to have the letter recognition a second. So that way they're understanding, like, how did it sound first, then the understanding of the letter recognition. That's what I like about it. That way, like, now I know, like, as a parent to a small child, like, I feel like she's going to be a more confident reader.
Right.
The older
Well,
she gets too.
and as a parent of a dyslexic child, like, I can see how this would have helped her in her earlier years.
Okay. And then, now thinking of as, like, teachers to, like, fourth and fifth graders, like, what can we do, like, in our classrooms?
Well, this is all showing, like, the kindergarten stuff, right?
Well, this is showing everybody.
Well, up to
K through
K.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
get
a
a
big
big
idea.
Okay.
Well, if you see, yeah, I was
Like
about
phonics, the last.
So
Oh,
that
I see it. I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
we're down
Lot
here.
4.
So they're up here, we're actually on,
I was
believe
say,
it
it
or not,
moves throughout for each big
yes,
idea.
I was about to say, it moves throughout. So we're all actually in a mix in this. This is just showing like an
Gotcha.
example
The
of all.
progression, yeah.
There's only like 4 points for 5th grade. that I
Right.
can find.
Yes. Honestly, for 4th as well.
Yeah, a lot of it is because the foundations of it you should get through
Yeah.
1 through 2, and you just build upon it in 4th and 5th,
Mm-hmm.
or 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, so we just build upon
Yeah.
it is really the answer. So in 4th and 5th is we're just making sure that we're instilling that we're building upon
Yeah,
one another.
they're taking what they've already learned and hopefully mastered
Mm-hmm.
and putting it to use.
And for those that haven't mastered, I think it's still
I'm about to say-
it's still easier to work with because it all goes together and
Yeah.
builds better.
Rather than feeling like you're having to backtrack and waste
Right.
time and lose
Exactly.
ground with them.
Alright, so that is all that we're gonna watch of this very long 16-minute video. Okay, so alright, and this is just the link to the at a glance of the foundations of paper. So if you want to pause for the effect of if you wanted to take a picture, or not picture because it's very blurry, if you wanted to screen grab the little URL for this.
Got it.
Okay, so again, anytime that we see a star, this is referring back to House Bill 538. So remember, anytime that we had to do the, anytime we had to do those like trainings online to make sure that we were adhering to those, to that bill, it's automatically being intertwined into our standards. And then anytime that something is circled, that is what's the big change. More of the changes are happening in K through 2 than it is in 3 through 5. So the big changes here in kindergarten is going to be phonological awareness and compound words. So students, of course, here is what phonological awareness is. So students identify and produce the sound structures of spoken language. So this is what will make them big and strong readers. So it is so then you have compound words that's also being changed. This is being changed only in kindergarten. The next thing.
Sorry, stop.
Oh, you're
Yes,
fine.
it's the switch.
I know, turn off all my
I
alarms.
need to do that, or we're gonna get an alarm every hour.
So phonological sorry, so I think so this is going on about with the phonological awareness levels. One of the things that this is referring to in this slide is how it's going hand in hand with between phonological and phonemic, which is referring to, and I learned this, I felt so happy, thank you, shout out to Ms. Hudson for teaching me the difference, is it's referring to it's important, and the reason for this change is it's important that students understand the sounds before they understand the letters. And the reason why is because you have some letters that sound very similar, like I and E and Y, and then whenever they, like for example, even in 4th grade, we got some kids, me and you were talking about this, like they get all big and bad and think like, oh yeah, I know my letters. And then you sit them down and be like, okay, well let's start sounding out these letters. And then they all get like, not so big and bad anymore whenever they start sitting down with you and sounding out these letters, and then you start creating nonsense words and they can't sound out these words anymore. So that's why it's super important that you go over phonemic first and then go over the phonological awareness, making sure that they understand, like they have to know these letter sounds, then they can go into what these letters are, because if they don't, and of course making sure they know the difference, because otherwise they can start getting confused. So that's what the difference and why the change there. Concepts of print is staying the same. So, of course, knowing how to look at a text, front, back, all sides, all that jazz. Here's your house goal reason. Of course, Scars Rose Rope. So anytime, again, if you see this, Scars Rose Rope is the reason why. There's the big change for all this is making sure, is for the science of reading. Is another big change for the reason for all this changes going down. So phonics, so decoding for K through 2. So making sure that students are able to decode even at an early age of K through 2. And encoding is the big change for 3 through 5. So phoneme and grapheme. And then is a change in K through 2. And then encoding in K through 2. So making sure that we are now we're going back to making sure kids are actually spelling. So which I'm excited about because these kids do not know how to spell and sometimes even their own name. So this is to me an exciting change because hopefully gone are the days of we're not even checking for spelling when it comes to the milestones. So, but we shall see how that goes on the new milestones. Do you know anything about that or?
They didn't mention anything about that. We had a whole assessment session, but.
And I think when we discussed the milestones, the one time we did at the beginning, which it was still really early days of it, I think it was still like. They didn't say anything about spelling, so. But I think right now it's still just gearing up to making sure that we're still working on it at this stage. But since it's something that they're adding to K through 2, I would imagine probably in the next
year or 2 they're gonna put it in there.
Yeah, in the next few years it's gonna be added. Here's our favorite people again. It looks like they added new people.
Woman in green shirt.
And what is it? Polka dot cardigan.
Yeah.
I haven't perused this. I haven't double checked this one and make sure it was okay. So we'll go past this one. All right. So K through 5. So now we're starting to get into where our zone as well in this group. So lots of big things that are being changed here is fluency and sight recognition. So we have sight word vocabulary,
Automaticity.
Thank you, automaticity and prosody. So the big thing here is of course making sure that we are really honing in on sight words, automaticity, prosody. So understanding that any word can be a sight word, understanding that students are knowing how. I can't remember what prosody is.
Prosody is the expression in the reading.
So something that I'm still working
changing
on.
their tone, that kind of thing.
Right. And something I'm definitely still working on with this word. So those are the things that we're going to be working on, and as I am learning, I'll be learning what that word means.
It's like fluency, so the rate of accuracy, essentially. Yeah, and then the prosody is with the expression and like stopping for a period, right? Stopping at a comma, like all of those pieces that go with it.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I did learn what that was. I even forgot my notes on that, but.
Listen, you've been in middle school. I was there once too, and these things aren't talked about in middle school. So
Not at all.
I did.
Yeah, not at all. All right, and then K through 2 print, nothing is changing, but for 3 through 5 is learning how to read cursive and write cursive. It says that it's not changed, but we don't ever do it. But
It's in there, and it depends on the teacher. Like some people do it, and some people
Yeah,
forget.
I know 3rd grade last year after milestones was like, oh, it is a standard. we'll go ahead and
Well,
you know,
yeah,
practice.
I always gear
yeah.
it towards the end of the year, but
Yeah. So it's definitely now wanting to be more like focused on, and then but to be honest, it's probably going to be the same type of focus then, and then because I never knew it to be a standard, and then even the years that I've taught fourth grade when I did, but then again like so I never did it. I hate to admit it. So like because I never realized it was, but now they're really wanting to focus on the reading of cursive, and I can guarantee it's going to be things that they want us to look at in the milestones, because I'm sure they're going to have questions that are going to be actually like written in cursive, because they were really stressing the cursive part like during the RESA meeting I had, and I'm sure they're going to stress it again during my next RESA meeting I have, which is in March. I gotta do my
It's next week.
Yeah, it's next week. I'll be
Oh my God, March is next week. Yes.
I know.
just Saturday.
Oh my God.
So
Keep it moving. Keep the days going.
I already passed to y'all the little sheets, and those of you who will watch this virtually, I will leave with Miss Hudson some examples that are from Savas. They will have in this suitcase, apparently coming soon, some examples, or not examples, I guess it will be examples or different like resources for writing, but but they will have like practice videos like what you were telling me about. But right now what we have is in Savas, they do have the videos. They have a lot more resources for 4th and 5th in Savas, and then they do 3rd grade, but we all can use it. It's super easy to get to in the Literacy Now online resource in Savas, so which is easy peasy to get to. Here's the handwriting at a glance. You would like to take a picture of this QR code to get your virtual flyer.
Got it.
And then this is the handwriting resources I was referring to. So manuscript guides for K through 2, cursive writing guide for 3 through 5. Again, this is why they keep stressing that cursive writing, so I feel like this is their version of a hint, hint, nudge, nudge. It's going to be on that milestones. Obviously not where they're having to read it, but where they're gonna have to read it. Even like, maybe even if it's like a primary source, or if it's like one of those odd resources that they're gonna have to look at, whether it's a one of the different types of text. They might have to look at, because you know that they're going to have different types of multimodals, so it might want to count as one of those multimodals. But in the handwriting resources, just different types of standards, instructional recommendations, and writing lessons. This is going over how it, again, where I was referring to the different stars, how this goes back to how the new standards are going to, how they correlate with the Literacy Act and Science of Reading. Again, same thing. And now the next couple of slides is just pointing all that out. And then now what I'm going into is just talking about how each of our standards that I was referring to is how the expectations are written in. So for and how they just go across the different standards. So familiar text, appropriate volume rate, wide rate, how it moves from kindergarten says that. When it comes to fluency and oral silent reading fluency, it moves from familiar text to a wide range of grade level text, and it stays to that for K through 2. And then it moves to appropriate volume rate, to increasing accuracy, to increasing automaticity. I said it correctly that time. Now I get what it is. Okay. And then 3 through 5, notice how the words slightly changed. Variety of unfamiliar grade level text. From variety of grade level, to variety of unfamiliar grade level text to wide range of unfamiliar grade level text, which again can still be very unheartwarmingly misconstrued. To from increasing accuracy to increasing automaticity. I'm going to have to be familiar with that word next year. To increasing automaticity to expression and tone. I told you that was not one of my words because it was on my test.
Oh, gotcha.
And then, so those are our expectations. Expectations are, again, that is the new standard. So it moves from, so instead of us calling them standards, they're now called expectations. We love Georgia. Georgia loves us by changing things in the way that we call things. Yay. Alright, so that's essentially those of us who like write down, like, of course, instead of writing them as standards, I'm sure next year we'll be writing them down as expectations. So that's how they change throughout the course from each grade. And there they are again. And then here is the difference with phonics and how they change from decoding to encoding. Decoding and encoding is now 3 through 5, and it went from separate to we doing this together. And then evidence in the documents. So this is going to be online here any day now, I would imagine. I tried to look again to see if it was there. It's still not there. I would have accidentally not printed it off if it was. And then X1 grade level expectations. Well, I didn't have it printed off. And they didn't note it with us there. So she did want us to do this. It says foundations inventory of instructional practices. And she didn't want us to do this and wanted me to take a picture to prove that I could do this.
So is this just phonics and PA though?
I think so,
Because
yeah.
you guys don't teach phonics and PA, so.
We're going to
I'll
continue not.
I'll take a
teaching.
picture of
Yeah. ELA explained her.
K1 on Monday doing it.
Perfect.
There we go.
Alright.
Because the other one is high frequency words. Again, y'all are not teaching sight words explicitly. You're not explicit. Even though some of that may all be written, it's not explicit instruction like it is.
Yeah, I was really happy when, yeah. Alright, and I'm done. That was it.